And we decided to go hard at Bitcoin mining. And that's because we found Paraguay. We've been deploying capital since April, and we already have Bitcoin mining machines, almost $1 million worth already set up and hashing in Paraguay. So we're very excited. So loves Paraguay and opened our eyes to the opportunities there, the biggest one being the power cost. Paraguay holds the world's second largest hydroelectric dam. First one's the Three Gorges in China, and that was built in the 90s. Paraguay, Itaipu Dam, was built in the 70s. So for a long time, it was actually the world's first largest and highest producer of electricity. And sometimes it still produces more electricity than the Three Gorges Dam. Because of that, super, super cheap power in Paraguay. We needed to take up on that opportunity because if you're interested in Bitcoin mining or know much about it, the only cost associated, besides equipment, obviously, only cost associated, variable cost or fixed cost for mining Bitcoin is power. So we established a very, very tight-knit and private relationship with a hosting facility. Because of the relationship that we're pursuing with them, we get extremely low power rates. So we basically get it, near cost, which is right around still that 3 cent per kilowatt hour range. But the prospect of moving our equipment, or at least these next rounds being deployed onto our own land, which is the focus and which is our goal, we actually will be able to get even cheaper power cost. But there's a very good chance that we're actually going to be able to get less than 3 cents per kilowatt hour power, especially as we start to develop on our own land.
And you guys actually have those containers operational now and mining in your partner hosting facility down there. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I have alpha. So you guys are alpha shares. Well, audience, Tyler has been so generous that he shared some alpha with me that I don't know anybody else knows about yet. There's a new white paper that they've been working on that really breaks down all of this stuff, the new expansion, the hash rates, and how they're going to achieve these metrics. And I have a copy of that brand new white paper, and I'm going to share that with you guys today while Tyler is walking us through this.
Perfect. Yeah. The plan is to make our NFTs more profitable when it comes to $1 per performance than any ASIC miner you can buy. And how are we doing that? Well, that's because we are buying the newest and best ASIC equipment. We're getting it at some of the best pricing available. But every time we purchase new equipment, it increases your hash rate. But it's increasing your hash rate without you ever spending another dollar. So again, price per performance, your price stays here, but your performance is just constantly ticking up. And it's going to get to a point where the metric we like to look at is dollar per terahash. Quite simply, price per performance. And if you look at your dollar per terahash upon mint, so we receive funds, we purchase equipment, you're going to have a fixed terahash because you deploy that equipment. Well, there you are. You're now here with performance. Your price is here. But what we're going to do is constantly increase that performance, which is dropping that dollar per terahash. And if you look at what the dollar per terahash is for any ASIC you can buy nowadays, you're looking at between $20 and $35 per terahash. 20 is on the lower end of older equipment that has a bit higher power draw. That's another aspect we're not talking about here. But what we're doing is we will actually make these NFTs less than $20 per terahash. So that means that by holding one of our NFTs, the amount you spent on the NFT, you will be producing more Bitcoin than if you bought a miner yourself. And you get the benefit of being in Paraguay at 3 cents per kilowatt hour. Because if you did buy a miner yourself and plugged it in at your home, you're going to be dealing with 12 to 15 cents a kilowatt hour. So that's really where, and I hope I'm not confusing there, because it is something that nobody else has done. We're the only project that has done anything like this or set this forward, but this is what's going to make us stand out the most. We have all of that baked into this NFT, and you're already at $32 a terahash. So that's fantastic. But with this expansion plan, what it's going to do is bring your hash rate up to above 13 terahashes. So now, instead of being at 7.8, your NFT that you bought for the same price, $250, will over time go from 7.8 terahashes to 13. And that, in essence, brings your dollar per terahash down below $20 a terahash, which is actually below the most cost-effective miner you can buy. And that's how we're going to make these NFTs, which in essence, they're little virtual miners. And these little virtual miners will be as effective and profitable, more than any actual real equipment you can buy. And that's all because you're completely right, Alex. But one other thing is it's not just the mining profits that we're going to be reinvesting. We also have antimony refining. We have launchpad services. We have a substantial chunk of money in different trading bot services with very close partners of ours. So we have many profit centers that are going to be driving, 6 figures a month in profit to the company. And we're going to be using that to purchase more equipment without ever raising more money from the sale of NFTs. So without you doing anything, you just start producing more. It is a whitelist only phase. And so what I'm going to do, though, obviously, because we're with YaBonks and with Alex here, we're going to go ahead and give anybody that he is going to put a list together, and anybody that's interested in this, we're going to extend whitelist to the YaBonks community. Because this first one is very exclusive. And that's because every tier, it goes up in price. You could see it increases in price by $50. And really the value here is that the first tier is going to have the best bang for your buck, the best dollar per terahash. Every NFT here in this next round is going to have the same terahash regardless of mint price. But the benefit is that, for one, you get the best bang for your buck. And two, as we get through the future rounds, your NFTs in essence will automatically become at the floor price of the next round. If the final $400 NFT round fully sells out quickly, well, that means that at least your NFT that you got in tier 1 at $250 is going to be worth at least $400. And so you get two benefits there. One, cheaper entry point, better dollar per performance, but you also immediately get that appreciating value of the NFTs as we get through the future rounds. So the first round is the cheapest, and that's what we're going to offer to your community here today. And that is minting very, very soon. We have not actually announced the mint date. It's looking to be this week, though. And so we're going to be announcing it very, very soon, maybe even today.
Hey everybody, it's Alex here, and on today's episode of the YaBonks Show, I have a good friend of mine that you've probably seen on my channel before. I have Tyler here from Alpha Shares, and if you remember, I did an AMA with Tyler and Randy about Alpha Shares a couple months ago, and Alpha Shares, for those who don't know, is a Bitcoin mining company, an antimony refining company, and NFT marketplace. They've got a whole lot going on, and today we'll really focus on the Bitcoin mining operations that they have in Paraguay right now. Tyler, do you want to say hi to the audience and let everybody know a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Well, for one, Alex, thank you for having me on the YaBonks Show. Yeah. It's a pleasure being here again. Alex and I, we talk even offline and stuff. What a great guy. Thank you for having us on the show again, of course. But yeah, no, I'm excited to talk about what we're doing with our expansion plan for Bitcoin mining. We've been, planning this for quite some time. When we were on your show the first time, it was to promote our reserve collection, which was 3,000 NFTs at $1,000 a pop. So it was a really big raise for us, $3 million. We've since gotten through that. It's been about a month since we've minted out, and everything's going really well. We have a lot of updates on how that's looking with the deployment there, because what's next here is the expansion. So we've got new NFTs that have been there since the beginning. It's been on the roadmap, been in the white paper, and now it's time for those to launch here very soon, where it's a much cheaper price point, entry point for people. The reserve ones were more exclusive, and they had some other benefits. But for people that are just looking for passive income, production of Bitcoin with their NFTs, this is where you want to be. So we're really excited to talk about it. We'll get into it. I'm sure that you guys are going to be happy to hear what's coming up.
Awesome. And I really wanted to get one of the reserve mining NFTs that we talked about last time, but they sold out so fast after my last AMA we did that I didn't even have 5 days to save up what I needed to get one, and they sold out on me before I could. It was crazy watching how fast those sold out. I had real FOMO, actually, but I really like that you are offering these next phases with a lower barrier to entry and a lower price point, so that way, I believe this next batch is, what, $250 per NFT?
Correct.
And that's definitely something more within my reach, even if you guys, hopefully you guys don't sell it super fast again, but I mean, I know that's what you guys want, but for me, I have to save up and grab one. But, all right. Now, real quick, for those who don't know, do you want to give like a elevator pitch, bird's eye view of Alpha Shares for those who don't know yet?
Sure. We're really working on how to make this as concise as possible too, because over the past year and a half plus, we've really grown to be quite a large ecosystem. We've got quite a bit, internally and how the whole system works. And it can be confusing to new people that pop in and they're like, oh, Alpha Shares, cool. I see your NFT conference. You get a bunch of projects together. Oh, Alpha Shares, cool. I see the marketplace. Oh, I see Momentum. Oh, I see Alpha Mining Co. There's so many different facets. And it really depends on how someone comes in, right? They can come in on one side and only know much about that aspect. And to learn about the rest, it can be a little bit confusing. But what Alpha Shares is at the end of the day, to break it down as neatly as possible, Alpha Shares is a brand. And Alpha Shares is our brand. It has its first product, and really it's our flagship offering when it comes to software, is the marketplace. So that is really what brought us into this space. We developed the marketplace last year. It's been over a year since it's been launched. And it has become the hub for not only us to get very well connected and help out other projects with NFTs, because we really like to focus on that utility side of things. So we're a launch pad. We have artist services. We love to help promote projects that have really, really great ideas. And we also soon will be incubating and investing in other projects. But that has become our hub of NFTs. And under that hub of NFTs, we launch our own NFTs. So the first NFT collection we launched was an NFT collection that basically made you an owner of the marketplace. If you held that NFT, you'd share in 70% of all the transaction fees on the marketplace. And we really loved that idea. It went really well. People loved the idea of being a fractional owner in something that is dynamically producing real income, right? Not from Ponzi-nomics. It's not minting new tokens. When somebody uses the platform and a fee is taken, well, that's how you earn. And so we decided to apply that towards other ventures that could help us stay around long-term, can grow our business, and can obviously provide value to our community. And we decided to go hard at Bitcoin mining. And that's because we found Paraguay. And Paraguay happened to be where one of our co-founders, actually our first co-founder, John, who is a developer, who I co-founded Alpha Shares with, his cousin lives in Paraguay, is married to a Paraguayan woman, and has been down in South America for decades. So loves Paraguay and opened our eyes to the opportunities there, the biggest one being the power cost. Paraguay holds the world's second largest hydroelectric dam. First one's the Three Gorges in China, and that was built in the 90s. Paraguay, Itaipu Dam, was built in the 70s. So for a long time, it was actually the world's first largest and highest producer of electricity. And sometimes it still produces more electricity than the Three Gorges Dam. Because of that, super, super cheap power in Paraguay. We needed to take up on that opportunity because, if you're interested in Bitcoin mining or know much about it, the only cost associated, besides equipment, obviously, only cost associated, variable cost or fixed cost for mining Bitcoin is power. And so just like any business, your goal to have a more competitive business is to reduce your expenses. And we found Paraguay as a spot that we could substantially reduce our expense compared to mining anywhere else in the world. And we have just gone super hard at targeting that. So we had the idea back in October of last year. It's now almost October of this year. Been almost a year in the making, but we launched our first mint in March. It went really well. We've been deploying capital since April, and we already have Bitcoin mining machines, almost $1 million worth, already set up and hashing in Paraguay. So we're very excited.
Wow, that is so exciting to hear how far you guys have come since our last AMA. And if anybody hasn't seen that one yet, it is 2.5 hours, I think, maybe a little longer. And Tyler and I and Randy too did a very thorough deep dive into Alpha Shares and all of those components you were just talking about there with the NFT marketplace and like the fractional like ownership strategies you guys have with everything you do in your ecosystem. But we really went in on the Paraguay operations and business plan. It's so thorough. We covered an incredible amount of information there. So if you haven't seen that and you want to know everything about this, go watch that, because Tyler really broke down every little piece from their operational plan, their finances, their business strategies, as well as some of the technical and engineering concepts behind their, not only their antimony refining plans, but also their Bitcoin mining facility and hydrothermally cooled Bitcoin mining containers from Metalubin. So it's really exciting stuff. So I'm really glad to hear things are going well. And yeah, so I guess before we really dive into all the latest developments there, do you have any news or important announcements for anybody watching this when this publishes that you want people to know right now?
Sure. Well, I mean, I guess the main reason for this, to be quite frank and transparent as we always are, we've got a new collection coming up soon, and we've been promoting this for a while. So those of you that have been following us, you'll very well know what I'm talking about. But for those that might not and are hearing about us for the first time, or we're coming back up in the timeline or on the channel, we have a new collection, and this new collection is going to be a much easier price point for people to get involved. So we currently have, like I mentioned, almost $1 million worth of equipment set up and hashing. It's about 40,000, 42,000 total terahashes. But we want to expand upon that. The first round that we had was $1,000 an NFT, as I mentioned, very pricey, and it priced a lot of people out. But it was our initial round. It was really what kickstarted this and showed that we can make this happen. It did involve more than just Bitcoin mining, though, as YaBonks mentioned, Alex here. It also had antimony refining. And that's something that we aren't going to get into much today, besides the fact that it does aid into the expansion of our overall ecosystem, and we'll talk about that. But for just Bitcoin mining, basically becoming a fractional owner in a very, very efficient and profitable Bitcoin mine, well, this is your way to get involved, especially if that $1,000 price point kind of priced you out. With this new round, this is going to enable you to own an NFT that has a fractionalized hash rate. So we have a total hash rate of our farm, and by you owning one of our NFTs, we fractionalize that hash rate, and your NFT now has that. And so we'll get into the details about how much hash rate per NFT and what that means. But just to be upfront now, which this is the most exciting part, is our goal is actually to make these NFTs more profitable than any miner you can buy. So dollar per performance, kind of hard to say, it will be better than any ASIC miner, any piece of hardware you can purchase. And I'll explain how we're going to do that, because you're like, how are you going to do that? I mean, you're going to be buying the equipment, so how would you make it more effective than the equipment you're purchasing? But I'll get into that, and it'll make a lot of sense here in just a few moments.
Yeah, and I already have an idea because of the incredible electricity rates you guys have in Paraguay with the dam you were telling me about. You have some of the lowest electricity rates that I've heard of in the industry so far, and I've interviewed probably maybe almost a dozen different mining companies all over the world. You guys have one of the best electricity rates by, like, you're right at the top of the pack there by far. And then also you guys also have additional business synergies that I think you might be able to leverage to get an increase in efficiencies and profitability. And so I think I have an idea of where you're going with some of that stuff. And now I have alpha. So you guys are alpha shares. Well, audience, Tyler has been so generous that he shared some alpha with me that I don't know anybody else knows about yet. There's a new white paper that they've been working on that really breaks down all of this stuff, the new expansion, the hash rates, and how they're going to achieve these metrics. And I have a copy of that brand new white paper, and I'm going to share that with you guys today while Tyler is walking us through this.
Perfect.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing that with me, and I'll pull that up here shortly. So that is coming. So audience, if you want to see how they're doing this, I've got the alpha here. Now, one thing I want to mention is Paraguay. Paraguay got my last video a lot of attention. It seems a lot of people in Paraguay and the surrounding areas really liked that video because we talked about, like, the green energy revolution going on there and how Paraguay is becoming one of the new Bitcoin capitals of the world because of the abundant green electricity they have there and their new forward-thinking political landscape and industrial and business landscape developing there. So,
yep,
you and the Alpha Shares company actually bought the land in Paraguay and have broken ground there and are actually physically building. Is that right?
That's correct. And so we did do that first with, we got 2 hectares of land. So that's about 5 acres. And I think when I actually messaged you earlier, I think I flipped those numbers around, but 2 hectares, about 5 acres. I think I might've said 5 hectares, 2 acres, but that's incorrect. So pretty large plot of land. It's in an industrial spot. It's actually right across the street from one of the biggest quarries, rock quarries in Paraguay, which they're actually supplying most of our gravel and other, rock equipment, stones, stuff like that, bricks, which is making this, development of this land a lot more streamlined. I mean, we've got connections now from just the industrial connections we've made. This is, I think, an earlier video, which is great because we can go down the timeline of, how this development's been going.
What's up,
and
guys?
This is initially for our antimony operation. So we have both coming in parallel, both being developed in parallel, rather, where we wanted to deploy our equipment as fast as possible. Starting a new venture in a new country, it takes a lot of work. There's a lot of paperwork, a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of networking, and really dotting your I's, crossing your T's, making sure that everything's perfect. And so it takes some time. This next round, we're so happy because we've now established all of that groundwork for us to be able to quickly, very, very quickly raise funds, purchase equipment, and immediately get it hashing. With this, we have, as you can see here, a lot of development undergoing.
For those who are listening to this on podcast platforms and can't see what I'm showing, I am playing videos that Tyler and the team sent me of the property in Paraguay and the construction that has been ongoing. I'm cycling through the videos from earliest to latest. I believe I've got the order correctly. You can see the gravel and the foundations and the leveling of everything taking place. So, all right, so carry on.
Perfect. No, and it's good. If you have a chance to view the video here, if you're listening to a podcast style, go back, watch this later. You can see all this development happening. This was actually some of these videos, the most recent ones were from last week. We're actually going to be getting some more videos to share in our community AMA later today. And so, there's going to be some even greater substantial development and progress that has already happened from these videos. But the idea here is to get Antimony up and running as quickly as possible. So that's where a lot of the effort is right now. Because we had equipment that was arriving, though, we wanted to get it plugged in. So we established a very, very tight-knit and private relationship with a hosting facility. Because of the relationship that we're pursuing with them, we get extremely low power rates. So we basically get it, near cost, which is right around still that 3 cent per kilowatt hour range. But the prospect of moving our equipment, or at least these next rounds being deployed onto our own land, which is the focus and which is our goal, we actually will be able to get even cheaper power cost. And in the future, I'm not going to make any promises here because these are things we constantly work on. And until the fat lady sings, we're not going to, say, hey, this is what we have. But there's a very good chance that we're actually going to be able to get less than 3 cents per kilowatt hour power, especially as we start to develop on our own land. And once this Antimony site is finished construction, we will be moving right into constructing a small building. Well, there's 2 different strategies we can use. 1, a building for air-cooled miners. And 2, we also already have a fab shop that we are very, very close with. They're actually one of our partners down there because they have their own big mining facility in operation with well over 30 megawatts of mining operation already going. And they construct actually all of their infrastructure. So they've vertically integrated everything from land development, building construction, constructing the actual equipment for how they set up their units. So they can build containers. They haven't built a hydro container. Our first unit is a hydro container. They're actually very interested in reverse engineering what we've brought down there to see if they could build it themselves. But moving forward with these next rounds, we actually are going to be doing air-cooled miners, and I'll get into why in a moment, but that's going to allow us to set them up a lot more quickly. We don't have to wait for the upgrades because buying 252 hydro miners like we did before, you buy them as air-cooled. They all have to be taken apart. New hydro fittings have to be installed onto it, a whole upgrade pack, which takes a lot of time for 252 units. And then they have to be installed into this hydro container that you can see here. And so this was from a few weeks ago. As we were getting the installations completed, we did have a live stream where we showcased all the miners plugged in. Bert down there, one of our partners, he went and live streamed walking through the container. It was our Go Live event a few weeks ago. A ton of fun. That wasn't recorded, so YaBonks here, though, has other footage and videos of the miners as they're being plugged in. So this did take quite some time. And so moving forward, what we are planning on doing is purchasing air-cooled miners and potentially either building an air-cooled container to easily, because containers are nice because you can build the container, it's very secure, you load it up with miners, and you can just drop it off outside. You can drop it off wherever you want as long as you have power to it. Whereas with a building, you obviously have to spend a little bit more to build a large enough building and facility and outfit that facility with a full cooling system and then plug miners in. But that's on our roadmap as well. So we want to have our own building so that we can basically purchase miners and set them up, especially with the expansion plan that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit.
So if I understand this correctly, and I'm showing the hydro cooled containers that we talked about from the first round from the NFT raise we talked about on the last AMA we did, and you guys actually have those containers operational now and mining in your partner hosting facility down there. Is that correct?
That's correct. Right now, at the current moment, so at the time of you listening, this will probably be finished and complete. But because of this being a very custom solution, and because we wanted additional security by actually placing this container within a warehouse at this hosting facility, we had to come up with some unique ventilation and exhaust solutions. It's typically, these containers, like I mentioned before, they're typically outside in open air, so they can exhaust their heat kind of just out into the environment. Mm-hmm. When it's inside of a warehouse, though, in an enclosed environment, it becomes a lot more difficult. And so the photo that you're seeing here, if you're watching the screen, this was before we had a temporary fix where there are some open windows. They're grated, so they have bars on them for security. But we were pushing air, exhausting it outside the side of the building. What we noticed, though, is that's not the best when it comes to fluid dynamics and how to best exhaust this heat. And we found that the best way to do it is actually to have the exhaust ducting go straight up off of the exhaust container through the ceiling of the warehouse and exhaust out the top of the warehouse. So we've actually built with an engineering firm, we've constructed or first designed the solution, and then now it has been under construction, it's completed. And as we are talking right now at this moment, they're actually installing it. And we hope that it's going to be finished installation by tonight, by later today. If not, it'll be tomorrow. But as of tomorrow, everything will be finally finished with the heating solution because unfortunately, when we first started running this equipment, it was overheating. And that's because there was a lot of heat soak that would be removed from the container, but it wasn't dispersed into the open environment, but rather it was heating up the entire warehouse. So causing some issues for the other equipment that's in that hosting warehouse. And it was also causing our own equipment to overheat. So we have a couple miners that are currently being repaired. And as of tomorrow, the new exhaust solution will be completed and everything will be back up and running. So there was a bit of a down period of about a week. But in the grand scheme of things, that's nothing. And we have to make sure that we secure the most efficient operations we can. So this will be fully complete. And after tomorrow, there should be no other maintenance. Well, obviously there's ongoing maintenance, but there shouldn't be any upfront maintenance, upgrades, repairs. Everything should hash away. And we will be seeing that full 40 to 45,000 terahashes right here, right now.
Okay, good to know. And for anybody curious as to the date, it's September 25th, 2023. So the new cooling strategy that you and an engineering firm have developed should be ready tonight or tomorrow or so. And I think it should be expected that when you are building a new facility of any kind, that you're going to have to get there, test it, and then make adjustments. Right, always.
Correct.
Yeah. So obviously you're gonna have you've made those adjustments. You've got your strategy and your plan, and it seems like you're just about ready to run with the new cooling system that should get all these things online again very shortly in the partner hosting facility. And in the meantime, you guys are also breaking ground at your own site nearby that you are building the antimony refining plant and also the Bitcoin mining facility there, which you will have your own air cooling system there as well. So that way you can not only drop this, are you going to be dropping these containers on your land eventually then? Or will they just stay here?
So it really is a number running game. We, like I mentioned, we have a great relationship with this hosting partner, and our power cost is amazing. So when it comes to why would we move it?
Right.
We'd move it only if there was an opportunity to upgrade or to be more profitable. Moving it does take time. It does take a lot of labor, and it's expensive. You obviously have to go and hire all of the different infrastructure to move this equipment, which is, actual giant trucks that have cranes attached to them, because you have to lift these up. To get them back out of the warehouse is also going to be a bit of a nightmare. It was difficult to even get them in there. But if we do notice that the prospect of having it on our own land is going to be more profitable, and we can pallet a certain amount of time, let's say it takes 2 weeks to perform the entire move, well, we have to run the numbers. How much money are we losing out on if it takes 2 weeks of no hashing? And if we move it to that land, will it make sense to recoup that loss over those 2 weeks? If it does, because we get an even better power agreement, wink, wink, maybe, or if we end up having, a better solution for better upgrades, it really just depends. At the current moment, it's going to be staying here because we do expect that everything's going to be working perfectly fine. But again, if there's the opportunity, absolutely. The whole goal originally was to have everything on our own land, but we also want to make sure that we get things up and running as fast as possible. Opportunity cost is a massive impetus for us to make sure that we don't wait for our own land. We don't wait for this and that. Whatever we can do as immediate as we can, we're going to do it, because these are money printers. And unless they're turned on, they just costing money. So we want to make sure that they're always producing.
Awesome. Good to know. I think that's a solid strategy. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it does, if it's extremely profitable there and it makes more sense to keep running them here, I think that makes a ton of sense. And then
we're doing a whole custom solution too there. Like, we're making sure that it's perfect. So, we're actually constructing into that warehouse the whole ducting solution. It's going to be built from that container straight up. If you're looking at the photo right now, any listener, you see the ceiling above. And we're actually constructing massive ducting systems that come from the container through the ceiling of the warehouse. And so that's going to be something where, again, moving it after that's completed, it'll be a big undertaking.
Awesome. Yeah, so that looks good to me, and it's awesome that you have this up and running, basically, essentially ready to go so quickly. I like that you guys didn't wait on that. You got the machines, and like you said, they're money printers, and every day they're not printing money is, just more gains that the company and all of the participants here could potentially realize. So I love that. I love that you guys are taking action to get these things running as fast as possible while you expand your operations. And there are other pictures here of the process where they got the miners. You can see them inventorying them in the new facility next to the containers, and then installing them, hooking up all of the hydro gear here, all of the tubing, the actuators, everything like that. It's really intricate and really, really cool looking. I have not seen a mining setup like this personally. So I think that's super cool that you guys have experience now with a hydrothermally cooled mining facility, and you're also going to have an air cooled facility on site as well. So you'll have both of those things going. I like that.
Well, I think that this is actually the perfect segue into something I was going to say earlier, which is a lot of questions we get when we have been expressing our plans for this next round is why, if you've done hydrocooling and you've been promoting hydrocooling, are you going to be moving forward with air-cooled units? It's a great question. And at the surface level, that wouldn't make much sense. But I have a perfect explanation for it. For one, hydrocooling does have added complexity. That added complexity does expand the amount of time necessary for setup. And so it took quite some time from initial deployment of capital to getting this up and running. And we want to cut that as much as possible, especially before the halving event. While we're still able to produce 6.5 Bitcoin per block mined, it's going to go to 3.25. So it's in our best interest to get things moving as fast as possible. So that's one component. Two, with hydro-cooled units, what these are here, or we have S19 Pros, and those are stock clocked around 104 to 107 terahashes. But what we have done is, because we have outfitted them with custom hydro-cooled solution and a custom power supply, we can overclock them to about 170 terahashes. So that's, a roughly a 50 to 65% increase in hash rate, which you can only do with hydro units, but you have to take an initially air-cooled unit. So with what we're doing now, there's new equipment that's come out, and you can now find air-cooled units that have newer technology, thinner nanometer chipsets, which means they're more thermally efficient and more power efficient. And what that means is you can actually hit pretty high terahashes with air-cooled and with similar power draw. But as many manufacturers have been saying, the future is hydro. And the future is hydro because you go from equipment going between 100, 170, 150 terahashes max for air cooling to over now 300 terahashes for hydro and immersion units. They're very expensive. They are a lot more for maintenance. But what we have decided is, hey, we can set up these air-cooled units much more quickly. And when it comes down to the point where it makes sense for us to upgrade them, well, now we have an upgrade strategy. Instead of buying liquid-cooled units now and operating them until they become obsolete, we can actually purchase air-cooled. We can run the crap out of them and make sure that they are very, very productive as quickly as possible. And when we see the need to upgrade them, well, we can disperse some more capital, purchase all the upgrade kits, and now upgrade them, overclock them, and have the same equipment that we already had at a much higher hash rate. And so that's the goal there, is to start with air, with newer equipment, newer air equipment, and then upgrade them to hydro down the line when need be, maybe after the halvening.
Interesting. I like that strategy. So it gives you options that a lot of other mining companies might not have the infrastructure or know-how to be able to pull off to get additional profitability in those situations. So I like that you have experience with both types of setups now, and you're going to have the infrastructure for both, so you can make those strategic moves. Because if a new device comes out or a new setup configuration that's, maybe hydro cooled is the winner in that situation, well, you guys are going to be able to move on that instantly, almost, relatively speaking. Whereas another mining company or farm might have to spend months figuring all this out, like you guys did already, and figuring out everything that goes with it. So
exactly.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. The white paper you sent me, let's pull this up while we're talking here, because this is the big new alpha. Now that we have heard where you guys are in terms of infrastructure development and your rollout plan with the physical miners, and where the first batch of miners stand now and how they're about to go online again with the new cooling systems, can you explain what this expansion plan is that is the hot new news today?
Absolutely. First, and I know we were talking about this earlier, but let's go real quick up to, I think it's page 8, and we can actually see, just so I can explain what the next round is and what that means. We'll go to right here. Perfect. So scroll down just a little bit. So if you want to zoom out just for this one page, we can get a better idea of what we're looking at. So the first round was our reserve collection, as we noted, $1,000 in NFT, and it does provide some extreme benefits for those people, but they took the highest amount of risk. They minted months ago, and they're just now finally able to see rewards coming back in because we've got our operations up and running. With this is our expansion plan. So this is how we actually go and immediately expand upon our hash rate, which also means that you get access to the existing hash rate the moment you mint your NFT. And that's because as we mint new NFTs, we gather more capital, we deploy that capital, and we further expand the hash rate. And it's going to be in 4 phases. And so we've only now expressed the first phase, and that mint coming up soon. It is a whitelist only phase. And so what I'm going to do, though, obviously, because we're with YaBonks and with Alex here, we're going to go ahead and give anybody that he is going to put a list together, and anybody that's interested in this, we're going to extend whitelist to the YaBonks community. Because this first one is very exclusive. And that's because every tier, it goes up in price. You can see it increases in price by $50. And really the value here is that the first tier is going to have the best bang for your buck, the best dollar per terahash. Every NFT here in this next round is going to have the same terahash regardless of mint price. But the benefit is that, for one, you get the best bang for your buck. And two, as we get through the future rounds, your NFTs in essence will automatically become at the floor price of the next round. If the final $400 NFT round fully sells out quickly, well, that means that at least your NFT that you got in tier one at $250 is going to be worth at least $400. And so you get two benefits there. One, cheaper entry point, better dollar per performance, but you also immediately get that appreciating value of the NFTs as we get through the future rounds. So the first round is the cheapest, and that's what we're going to offer to your community here today. And that is minting very, very soon. We have not actually announced the mint date. It's looking to be this week, though. And so we're going to be announcing it very, very soon, maybe even today. So that's what this is. We can go to the next expanding area if you'd like. Just want to explain what this structure looked like.
Sure. So if I understand this correctly, the phase one right now is whitelist only, and that's how you can get these for $250 instead of $400, right?
That's correct. Yeah. And then the remaining phases will be public. But because we have so much interest after the reserve collection sold out so quickly, and because all of the reserve holders are whitelisted and we've been ongoing doing whitelist events for quite some time, we have more than enough wallets to get this first phase sold out whitelist only. And to make it more exclusive and fun for those that have supported us the most, that's why we're doing it that way.
Okay. Sounds good. So I will now scroll down to the other expansion plan page here on page 14. I think you have a lot of detail in this part.
Yes. So I'll be, if you'd like to read it, if you're a listener or a viewer rather, go ahead and read through this, but I'll explain it in a more brief and concise fashion. What we're planning on doing is so much more than just sell NFTs, use money, buy miners. That's what many projects in the space that do similar things will do. And that's commonplace. That's normal. That's traditional. But we are not traditional because we have so much more than just Bitcoin mining. We have our marketplace. We have our DeFi side, which I don't have to get into the specifics, but we're a whole ecosystem. We have the marketplace, we have the DeFi side, we have the Antimony refining, we have the Bitcoin mining, we have our Launchpad services. We're a company, and our company has multiple profit centers, and it's our goal to create the most profitable company as we can by providing as much value as we can. Because of that, it benefits everybody, including ourselves, taking a 20% performance fee from the overall hash rate. It benefits everybody to constantly expand the mining farm. And the traditional way to expand would be, as we're doing now, selling NFTs, raising more money, and buying more equipment. But what we're explaining here is that post these next 4 phases, after all the AMC NFTs are sold out, we're going to continue to grow the hash rate. We're not stopping. Because the fundraise of the NFT sales has stopped, that doesn't mean that we're going to stop. And how are we going to do that? Well, with what we have set in front of us with the Antimony operation and all of the profit centers of our operation, of our overall brand, the company will be making some really good money. And what we're going to do with that money is obviously reinvest into our business. Part of that reinvestment will be into the Antimony side of things. Part of it will be improving the marketplace and all of our software developments. But a big component will also be buying more Bitcoin mining equipment. There's so much that pushes us to do this. One, when Bitcoin hits new levels, new all-time highs, or exceeds where it currently is at, Bitcoin equipment always increases in price. So it makes total sense for us to buy as much equipment right now as we can, because if history repeats itself, which it often does, when Bitcoin has its halving event in around April, May of 2024, it will most definitely at some immediate point after, we will see a new all-time high for Bitcoin. It's happened with every halving event every 4 years. When Bitcoin has a halving, you see a new all-time high within 12 to 15 months after. So we highly expect this to occur again. So it makes the most sense for us to buy as much equipment as we can, because not only does that equipment mean we get in at a better price per performance, but that also means that we have asset values of equipment that could 3-4x in price. And that could also result in some sort of liquidation event where we can liquidate some equipment that maybe we spent $1 million on. It's now worth $4 million. Well, that means that we can take that profit and we can purchase maybe the newest generation of miners, and we can constantly stay relevant. We can always remove the opportunity or the traditional outcome of becoming obsolete. And we also are going to be increasing the total terahash of the farm. So I don't want to get too heady here, but just to have some numbers, because I know a lot of people don't, look into the specifics of Bitcoin mining. But this chart right here does show where we currently are. So we're at about 40,000 terahashes, and you can see the start point on that left side of the graph. And so that's where, after the reserve raise, we sit in total terahashes of the farm. When we finish selling out the next 4 tiers, you can see that the sellout point there brings us right to around 200,000 terahashes. And mind you, this is after our 20% performance fee. So we'll be around 250,000 terahashes. But after we take about a 50,000 terahash spread for the company, 200,000 is left to be distributed amongst NFT holders. If we don't do anything after that, we don't sell any more NFTs, we just use all the company profit to distribute to the team and so on and so forth, well, we're going to stay stagnant. We're going to have just the same hash rate. But our goal is to constantly use company retained earnings to purchase more equipment and consistently increase that hash rate. And that is without raising another single cent from more NFTs, which in essence would not really dilute your ownership, but it would add more people to the pie. And obviously the way that we do things is the more NFTs we sell, the greater the hash rate for everybody involved. But if we're not selling NFTs and we're buying them ourselves, your cost basis stays the same, but the hash rate for your NFT is going to constantly increase. Our 20% performance fee is also going to constantly increase. So that's why fundamentally as a business, it makes sense to reinvest. We also own the equipment. So if there is some sort of liquidation event, we can liquidate and use what's best for the company. But in the end, for holders of NFTs, what this does, and this is the most exciting part, and I want you to listen up for the people that are listening, because this really is the big component here and what we're heavily promoting here moving forward. This is the plan. The plan is to make our NFTs more profitable when it comes to $1 per performance than any ASIC miner you can buy. And how are we doing that? Well, that's because we are buying the newest and best ASIC equipment. We're getting it at some of the best pricing available. But every time we purchase new equipment, it increases your hash rate. But it's increasing your hash rate without you ever spending another dollar. So again, price per performance, your price stays here, but your performance is just constantly ticking up. And it's going to get to a point where the metric we like to look at is dollar per terahash. Quite simply, price per performance. And if you look at your dollar per terahash upon mint, so we receive funds, we purchase equipment, you're going to have a fixed terahash because you deploy that equipment. Well, there you are. You're now here with performance. Your price is here. But what we're going to do is constantly increase that performance, which is dropping that dollar per terahash. And if you look at what the dollar per terahash is for any ASIC you can buy nowadays, you're looking at between $20 and $35 per terahash. 20 is on the lower end of older equipment that has a bit higher power draw. That's another aspect we're not talking about here. But what we're doing is we will actually make these NFTs less than $20 per terahash. So that means that by holding one of our NFTs, the amount you spent on the NFT, you will be producing more Bitcoin than if you bought a miner yourself. And you get the benefit of being in Paraguay at 3 cents per kilowatt hour. Because if you did buy a miner yourself and plugged it in at your home, you're going to be dealing with 12 to 15 cents a kilowatt hour. So that's really where, and I hope I'm not confusing there, because it is something that nobody else has done. We're the only project that has done anything like this or set this forward. But this is what's going to make us stand out the most.
So you'll be reinvesting a portion of the mining revenue into expansion of more ASIC miners, and the NFT holders will get exposure to that additional overall hash rate from that expansion, correct?
That's absolutely correct. And you can actually see that on the next slide. So if we go scroll down to the next page, this will actually show you what this looks like. So we do have this projected out over 24 months. The way that we always do things, though, is always hope to under promise and over deliver. We do expect this to be much more quick than 24 months. Either way, this is a long-term project. We're here to stay. That's why we're constantly reinvesting. And we believe in Bitcoin for the long term. We want Bitcoin to hit well past that $100,000 a token. But here, right here, you can see what it looks like. So for the AMCR NFT, you can see the purple at the top. And for this instance, we're talking about AMC NFTs. So actually, let's move to the $250 AMC NFT, the next line down. So this is what's going to be coming up soon that you guys could mint into if you get whitelisted through YaBonks here, which of course, if you're interested, you will be. But what you can see is that purple line is actually what your terahash or your price per terahash, no, rather just your terahash, actually, not your price per terahash, but what your actual terahashes is once we mint out the full new expansion. So all 4 tiers. And for an AMC NFT, it's going to be right around 7.8 terahashes. So to find your dollar per terahash, you can divide 250 by that terahash. And you can figure out, okay, 250 divided by 7.8, what is my dollar per terahash? And just, well, since we're up on here, might as well do that. 250 divided by 7.8 is $32 a terahash. So that's already really good. Because like I mentioned, for a traditional ASIC miner, you're between $20 and $35 a terahash. That does not count, though, all the setup, the freight, the imports, the duties, the taxes, the relationships that you have to establish to actually get it hosted. And so that's just simply the hardware cost. We have all of that baked into this NFT, and you're already at $32 a terahash. So that's fantastic. But with this expansion plan, what it's going to do is bring your hash rate up to above 13 terahashes. So now instead of being at 7.8, your NFT that you bought for the same price, $250, will over time go from 7.8 terahashes to 13. And that in essence brings your dollar per terahash down below $20 a terahash, which is actually below the most cost-effective miner you can buy. And that's how we're going to make these NFTs, which in essence, they're little virtual miners. And these little virtual miners will be as effective and profitable more than any actual real equipment you can buy. And that's all because you're completely right, Alex. But one other thing is it's not just the mining profits that we're going to be reinvesting. We also have antimony refining. We have launchpad services. We have a substantial chunk of money in different trading bot services with very close partners of ours. So we have many profit centers that are going to be driving, 6 figures a month in profit to the company. And we're going to be using that to purchase more equipment without ever raising more money from the sale of NFTs. So without you doing anything, you just start producing more.
Wow, that's wild. So the price per terahash gets really, really good with this expansion plan. And even without it, it's amazing, right? But with it,
the AMCR, you see AMCR is going to be around $15 a terahash, which is unheard of. You can't even find that anywhere. And so we're really excited about this because we can't wait to boast about this and say, look at us. We're better than even buying it yourself. That's the goal.
That is awesome. And I still wish I would have gotten one of those AMCR ones. I need to check if Alpha Shares NFT marketplace, if anybody's trying to sell one. I doubt it, but if I could grab one, I might still. But $250 for the whitelist mint is really accessible for me. So this might be a no-brainer for me to scoop 1 or 2 of these up. And even at 400, it's a great deal, but $250 for that first whitelist round is pretty insane. So cool, man. I love this plan. And how long does this go for? So if I have one of these NFTs, do I just get that terahash, that hash rate for how long?
It's indefinitely. So
really?
Because we have this expansion plan, and mind you, there are going to be some unforeseen future events that we're not going to know about until we get there. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But as we go, we try to, put together a cumulative effort of projection of how can we get to where we want to be, and that might change. But we hope to stay relevant for a long period of time. And one of the most difficult points for other mining projects to palate is, hey, how can we offer, what's the timeline we can offer for this? How long can we keep this going? And many of them will just say, okay, well, we're going to raise X amount of dollars. It's a flat raise. and then we're going to deploy it. We're going to take, X percentage, give it to the community. We're going to take Y percentage for ourselves. And when they take that Y percentage, it's for pay, right? It's not for reinvestment. They're just paying themselves and that's their profit. It makes sense. You got to do that. But because we have so much more than just the flat dynamics of you get X, we get Y, and then how do we expand? I don't know. We expand from the other aspects of our operation. And to go into a little bit more detail of why, well, right now, our antimony refining business is looking to be more profitable dollar per dollar than Bitcoin mining. It's exclusive to our reserve holders, but the company also takes a big cut. I don't foresee that always antimony refining will be more profitable than Bitcoin mining. With the new halving, Bitcoin hitting 100K a token, Bitcoin mining might as well be, or very well might be, more profitable than antimony. So while that's skewed in the other direction, it makes a lot of sense for us to take those profits, diversify those extreme profits from antimony, and buy more mining equipment. Not only is it an investment into our operations, but as I mentioned, it's a big deal for us as a company to look at it from a business perspective of what assets do you have on the books? Are those assets liabilities? Or not really assets, is that equipment a liability or is that equipment an asset? And we are hoping to make all this equipment an asset that increases in price. We buy miners for $2,000 a pop. They end up becoming $6,000 a pop, $8,000 a pop, $10,000 a pop. And now we can look at, okay, maybe we'll sell 20% of our Bitcoin mining equipment and recoup the total cost of the entire farm, because that can very well happen when Bitcoin hits new all-time highs. So it makes a lot of sense for us to diversify in this method. And in return, it seems to be almost too good to be true. But those people that helped us get to where we are, by doing absolutely nothing, you consistently increase your production. It's awesome. It's such a good, when we came to this conclusion, we were like, this is how we have to do this.
I think $100,000 Bitcoin too is a very conservative estimate for where it's going to go. Even in the next cycle, I think we could easily see 180, maybe even 200 and above. Some people saying 500,000-600,000. I mean, it gets crazy with each cycle, and it's all supply and demand and extreme rarity. It's the hardest money on the planet. So I think 100,000 is a very low estimate, which means, if the next cycle and the cycles beyond, if you're stacking up this Bitcoin and just kind of holding on to it, this is a way to kind of dollar cost average DCA into a Bitcoin position that you might otherwise not be able to at certain prices. Because with the efficiencies you're getting here, over time, you might get a DCA, an average value, much lower than if you just bought all at once and even held, or even try to DCA on your own, because you're actually buying it cheaper than the price of Bitcoin when you mine it. And this is like mining it essentially yourself without any of the equipment, and you'd get the hashing rewards even cheaper, for an even lower price than if you were to try to mine it with an ASIC miner, if you just bought the ASIC miner yourself. So I couldn't even mine this at my house if I could afford the ASIC miners and the infrastructure and all that. I still couldn't get this good of a dollar per terahash.
Correct. Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, we spent a lot of time figuring out how can we make this, and this is what we do with everything with Alpha Shares. How can we make this the most attractive option out there? And I think that we've succeeded in this. And I think that, time will tell as we go down this road. I do expect to be able to make this performance increase happen well before the 24 months we've projected here. But we'll see. Maybe in 24 months, we'll be double that. Maybe we'll be triple that. It really just depends on the strategy, which is dynamic. It changes every day. So.
Yeah. And then, like you said, you have the antimony business also getting reinvested across the board into the Bitcoin mining operations. So that allows you to snowball your mining operations faster than a Bitcoin mining only operation.
Correct. Exactly. Nailed it right on the head.
Synergy. I love it.
There you go. And that's because no other mining operation has what we have, right? I mean, and that's no throwing shade at all. I'm very, very proud of our team. Big pat on the back to everybody that's worked with us and is still working with us, and the growth of the community. But because we've managed to work so hard and achieve what we have, there's no other project that's doing Bitcoin mining that has such a vast and productive ecosystem that enables them to do things like this. A lot of them even legally separate out how they want to do things, and they can't reinvest into some parts of their operation if they want to. But a big focus of our structuring everything is how can we use, one very productive center to increase the profit of another center. And this is actually a business tactic that some of the world's largest Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies do. Is you don't just stick with one profit center. You might have your Goldilocks or your perfect product or service that you sell, and it hits the books the best. But you don't stop there, because at any point in time that could go down. It could go up in profitability, but it could also go down. It could become obsolete. You might not be able to sell it. A competitor could come in. And so for us, it makes the most sense to leverage everything we've got to consistently increase the rest. And it's awesome. There's no one else that I know that can do this. So, and I don't want to sound, vain about it, but I'm very, very proud of our team.
You absolutely have a unique competitive advantage here in this landscape, where I see other mining companies generally trying to get those additional diversified revenue streams, not from profit centers like heavy metals refining, like antimony, like you guys, but they generally do it through speculative mining of other proof of work tokens, which I think is higher risk, because these are untested new coins and technologies. It's so new, where antimony has been around since the beginning of time and is used in literally almost everything. So antimony is not going out of style or business ever. And where a proof of work protocol that started 2 years ago might not be here in 2 more years. It could, don't get me wrong. And in most cases,
it could end up becoming more profitable, but you're completely right. It also could.
It skews the risk reward. Yeah, it skews that risk reward to, and you really have to weigh these. So I like to diversify myself into multiple mining companies like this. And my favorite strategy in the bear market right now has been to kind of get 1 or 2 of an NFT from each of these that I can afford to do so, because it spreads out my risk in any one company or anything like that. And I like that you guys have a further diversification and synergistic strategy where you can get additional profitability through something that is outside of the wheelhouse of proof of work mining. It's something that's so industrial, so ingrained in society itself, that antimony refining is not going out of style, like I said. So you guys really have a strong diversification strategy with your revenue streams that is so unique to anything else I've ever heard of, really.
Thank you, Alex. No, and I agree. That's why we're extremely proud of this and very happy to be promoting this as of recently, because you actually are the first content creator that I've actually put this white paper in front of. So this is actually being published later today. You guys get a first peek at it though, and this is one of the bigger announcements that we've made. Is a lot of people ask, what's the future hold? After you get to these raises, what are you going to do next? How do you keep this going? How do you refrain from being obsolete? Here's your answer, and you get the inside scoop. So thank you, Alex, for the feedback.
Absolutely. I really I like it. It's very unique, and I think it's a strong hedge against anything related to DeFi and Bitcoin mining and all that. So even like if something crazy like a black swan event happened in the crypto market, it might be a temporary setback for everybody, but it's going to keep chugging along, obviously. But your antimony business could probably by itself float you guys through any storm like that, where a lot of people might go under.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah. So very cool, man. I love this new white paper too. If you guys haven't seen it yet, by the time this video is published, the white paper will probably be available. However, I still feel very privileged to see it first. It's well done, very well thought out. And yeah, so I think you covered the expansion plan very well. Was there anything else in the expansion plan that we didn't cover?
Well, if you scroll down to the next page, the the one other thing that I'd like to talk about is, what else you get. So some people here and listening might be interested in just diversifying their exposure to Bitcoin mining, having some sort of efficient way to DCA and make it passive, like you mentioned, into a Bitcoin position. But you get so much more than that. And I think it's important for us to talk about what else you get when you become part of the AlphaShares ecosystem. And that's, all that's right here. And so to go briefly throughout these things, I mentioned before, we are a marketplace. I mentioned, we are a brand. So we have, different events that we host. But just to go through it here, obviously, first and foremost, you're here for Alpha Mining Co. You get access to Bitcoin mining. You also get access to self-funded expansion, which, without raising more money, without diluting your position, your profitability and performance is going to consistently increase. So that's already awesome. It's already the best bang for your buck you can get. But beyond that, you also are going to get to participate into our dynamic marketplace where, you're going to be able to claim your own and view your own NFTs through our marketplace, which if you decided to also invest into, the Alpha Pack, which is our NFT that promotes ownership of the marketplace, when you go and trade your NFTs, let's say you're thinking about flipping some of these Alpha Mining Co NFTs, you want to buy some, maybe you want to sell some when they hit the last tier, recoup your initial investment. Well, not only are you going to be able to do it all throughout our own ecosystem and platform, but if you are also an owner of the marketplace through the Alpha Pack, you're going to earn back a portion of your own fees that are taken when you sell your own NFTs. No other marketplace is going to offer that or have that. We also are about to release a DEX, and that DEX is going to have liquidity pairs for all of our own tokens, and it will also have a liquidity pair for wrapped Bitcoin and USDC. So that means that, let's say, you have a certain strategy for your Bitcoin earnings. Some people might just hold on to them, let it get to a certain point, and then sell. Maybe you say, I'm only going to sell 20% of what my monthly claims are, and I'm going to keep 80% to hold. Well, when you make that swap, you can actually swap directly through AlphaShares right on your own page where you claim your wrapped Bitcoin. You can go ahead and swap it to USDC right there. And what happens when you do that? Well, because it's an AlphaShares DEX, we earn small fees the same as any other DEX would, but those fees go right back into our ecosystem. So it's, again, circling back into, if it's productive enough, maybe we can even use proceeds from the fees generated on the DEX to purchase even more mining equipment. So you're going to be selling your Bitcoin every time people want to cash out their Bitcoin. AlphaShares receives fees. We use those fees to reinvest in the business to produce you even more rewards. So it's just a consistent feedback loop, a constant flywheel. The next thing is you get our awesome community. You get our DeFi, so you get momentum and mass token, where you can stake our mass token and participate in even more liquid way of earning Bitcoin. Because through mass and through momentum, it's a staking contract, but momentum actually owns $500,000 worth of reserve NFTs, and it produces all those rewards that come through those 500 NFTs. They flow right into momentum. And so if you stake our mass token, you can diversify by holding our NFTs, having a fixed position. You can also have a liquid staked position that you can divest and exit out of at a snap of your fingers. And you also have so much more. We got our Alpha token, which is the whole ecosystem token of the marketplace. There's nothing else that you can find your way into an ecosystem to see the initial point of interest, which in this essence might be Bitcoin mining. But there's so much more to unpack, a massive community for you to interact with, new people to network with, more things to do. And we just love building, and we love putting this in front of people. And I don't think any other mining operation has an ecosystem quite like ours. So we're very proud of it. And I keep saying we're proud of it, but looking at everything, even seeing this new white paper, being able to talk about it for the first time too with somebody, it's exciting. And I get super excited talking about it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you are excited of what you're doing and proud of the business you're building. That's a good sign to me as an entrepreneur myself. I'm proud of the business I've built. Praise God, very, very blessed and fortunate. And, I'm just going through the work though, but, it's just, you put in the work, you do something well, and you put in the blood, sweat, and tears, and you built something great. So you should be proud of it and everything like that. Also, your community is excellent. So I'm in so many communities. I'm like 200 plus DeFi Discord servers at any time. I'm always having to leave them to join new ones to explore new projects. You guys have a very positive community, which I love. So the Alpha Shares community, for as long as I've known about you guys, for almost a year now at least, you guys have had just such a strong community. People really say good things about you, and that's always a good sign to me. If I mention Alpha Shares, somebody says, "Oh, I love Alpha Shares." I'm like, "Okay, that's a good sign," right? Also, I have, gone through your whole team and background and everything in my past video. So if anybody's interested in who else is behind the team behind Alpha Shares, check out that video. We cover the whole team and everything you guys have done in the past leading up to this, as you've built this ecosystem. So you guys have a great track record out here. You've got an awesome community, and that's always a good sign to me when I'm exploring a new project. So for anybody looking for a fun, vibrant community, check out Alpha Shares community. I'll put like the Discord link in the server. And you guys do like weekly game nights, and you guys just hang out and have fun.
We have poker on almost every other weekend, or at least once a month. Our poker tournaments get 300 to 500 people that come through every single time. We have, and really even just from a networking aspect alone, you're going to find some amazing people that have really found a home here at Alpha Shares, people that in the real world, have 6, 7, 8-figure net worths, people that you get to network and hear a lot more about. They can coach you. They can tell you their experiences. You guys can become a network. I have met multiple people local to me in Arizona that I go take out to coffee, hang out with, just through the ecosystem and through our community. And anybody that joins is going to be able to do the same thing. And it's awesome. It's an awesome feeling.
That's awesome. That is really, really cool. And I also like that with your expansion plan, everything in the ecosystem actually benefits the alpha mining NFT holders. So even if I got one of these $250 NFTs during the whitelist, originally they're going to be $400 price point, but they're $250 during this phase 1 whitelist. Anyway, I get one of these, I actually get exposure to profitability from all these other aspects, because a part of each of these basically goes into expanding the mining farms. And then the amount of terahash that I would get per dollar I spent on the NFT would just continually go up from each one of these additional facets of your business.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's gonna, it's something that we highly expect to ramp up and become an exponential increase. So as we start to develop more and more, relationships, we sell more and more NFTs, we get through the NFT raise and we get into the expansion. Not only will you see your own profitability and production of rewards increase, but more and more people are going to get excited about what we have here. More and more people are going to want in. And with NFTs, the great thing about them is that they're fixed. And so the floor price will most likely consistently go up with the increase in expansion, with the increase in productivity, which we can't wait for. Obviously, we want to make sure that there's an easy exit event for anybody that wants to, and we want that exit event to be at higher than your entrance. And we anticipate that happening. And right here too, with the ecosystem that you just pulled up for those that are viewing, I don't want to go too far into detail because there's a lot here, but this really showcases the different aspects of our ecosystem that we've been talking about today and how they all interact. I highly suggest that, and I'll give you a link to Alex to promote with this video that people can click on to see this document hosted through our website. And they can take a peek at this and they can see all these different things that you get access to.
Awesome. Yeah, this is a great infographic. Really shows how big your whole ecosystem is and how everything works synergistically to support the overall operation that you guys have here. It's like you said, it's unique. I don't know anybody else with an ecosystem like this doing all the things you guys are doing. And it seems like you're doing each one of them very well, which, you got the NFT marketplace is popping off. There are, I was just looking through it. There are so many awesome projects now hosting their NFTs on the Alpha Shares marketplace. That was really, really awesome to see that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, Sometimes we can maybe feel like we're spread a little thin, but that's where you just really gotta, put your bootstraps on or pull yourself up by your bootstraps, put those boots on, and really get chugging, and we're constantly expanding and growing the team. It's a lot of effort, but we're so excited about it. And when you're passionate about something, the hard work just becomes a challenge, and that challenge just becomes a fun time to overcome. So we're having a ton of fun here all the time. And we're doing our best, but thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's it is fun when you're building something like a business, and especially when there's such a community involvement, like with Alpha Shares. Like, you guys have thousands of people that follow and support you and your community, and everything you guys are doing. And I hope that it just keeps going as well as it has been, and you guys keep executing on your business plans. I honestly am shocked at how fast you guys started building and deploying that capital after our last AMA. And to see those videos and the pictures, the boots on the ground, breaking of the ground, and the setting up of the containers and all the ASICs, I was very impressed to see how fast you guys did that.
Thank you. Yeah, and we even, we hold ourselves to a really high standard. So even though a lot of people say, "Hey, it happened so fast," we still don't think that it happened fast enough, and we always have stuff to improve on. We're going to continue to do that, but thank you, and I love to hear that. But at the same time, we're never going to be somebody that gets too comfortable, and we're going to constantly push, always do better.
Absolutely. Always keep pushing the boundaries of what you guys can do. So from, let's say I get one of these NFTs. When can I expect rewards to start accumulating for me?
So pretty much right away. As I mentioned earlier, as of the date of this recording, which most likely when the listeners are listening to this, everything will be back up and running. But for about a week and a half, about 9 days, we have had our equipment off. But the moment that people start to mint into this, we are going to be deploying the equipment as fast as possible. So we expect that after this first phase, that we will have equipment arriving in Paraguay to be plugged in and set up within just about 30 days. It really depends. We're talking to multiple distributors and manufacturers right now. We are very close with manufacturers, and so we can get at cost, basically, at full wholesale cost, this equipment. But when you buy it from the manufacturer, it does take some time. It has to be sent from China, air freighted or freighted by boat. Boat definitely takes longer, 60 to 90 days, about 60 days, I'd say, depending on customs. And then air freight is very quick, just a few days. So there's a good chance that we are going to be air freighting from a manufacturer, or we also have sourced equipment locally in Paraguay or in countries right around Paraguay, Brazil, Argentina. And so we will be able to purchase equipment there and have it transported very, very quickly. So we expect this first tier to sell out almost immediately. And then we will use those funds to immediately purchase more equipment to expand, which at the same time, the moment you get an NFT, you become a fractional owner of the existing operation as well. So not only are you going to be earning from the hash rate of the capital that we raised from this first tier, you're going to be earning from the reserve tier and the first tier all combined. Second tier comes online, you now increase your production with second tier, third tier, fourth tier. After fourth tier, it's going to consistently increase again, because as we make money as a company, we keep buying. So we want every tier to increase the amount of equipment, increase the amount of performance. And even after we've finished that, we're going to consistently, as we've talked about, further increase the performance with our own money.
So with the reserve NFTs from our last AMA, we saw, the pictures of the hydrothermally cooled miners inside the containers inside the partner hosting facility. Now, those should be online after the new thermal exhaust is installed through the ceiling. You said that should be in the next day or two. And once those come online and start mining, anybody who has one of these NFTs or the reserve NFTs should start getting rewards that they can claim in the dashboard. Is that right?
That's correct. And there will be, at the current moment, we're planning once a month to push the rewards to the dashboard. And so you can claim, you will be able to see the total amount of production live. And we actually have had our dashboard live to a small group that we call our Champions Club. They're our top holders and our most active members. And they have had access for a while now. Because of the last 9 days then being offline, we haven't updated the website and that dashboard. But with everything going online here in the next day or two, we're pushing that dashboard publicly live. And so we've already mined, actually, they've been online, the equipment as everything was getting installed, it has been hashing. And we have produced a good amount of Bitcoin already, close to half a Bitcoin. But we, if everything was fully optimized, fully online for the whole time, we do expect that moving forward in about a month with just this first equipment, we should mine about 1.5 to 2 Bitcoin a month. And then that's obviously before power expense, but that should net some substantial gain after we pay the power, and that's when we start to pay out. So we have slated the first payout for reserve to be on or before the 30th of this month. Because it has taken a little bit longer for everything to get in place with the installation of the exhaust solution, we'll see. We might still make a payout by the 30th. It just will be less than optimal, which is to be expected. All right, everyone, very well understands what we're doing here. We have AMAs every week where we go into detail. What's the current setup? What's the current status? People know that we're undergoing this upgrade. But we also might be like, hey, guys, we got everything up and running. We're going to let it run for just one more week at full hash rate and then make that payout just to make it even better. But everything's hashing right now. We're already producing Bitcoin. We just want to make it tip-top, highest performance possible, which will happen very soon this week.
Awesome. So you're thinking like next month, sometime in October, those...
Oh, the first payout for AMC will definitely happen in October, for sure.
Awesome. That's super exciting. All right. I look forward to it, man. That's going to be good times for all. And, I'm in a couple of these mining projects, and that's always like the big wait. Everyone's always waiting for like the capital to get deployed and the machines to start turning a profit and distributing rewards and stuff. And, some projects just, drag on and on and on, and you're just like waiting. But when some of the projects I'm in do start distributing those rewards, it's so exciting. And then it's something to look forward to every single month. You go, you check, and you're like, hey, payday in Bitcoin or something. That's really exciting. And for people who don't know yet, what will those rewards be paid in?
Wrapped Bitcoin on Polygon. So we're making it easy for you to claim. The NFTs reserved were on Ethereum, just because they were more expensive, and people that were more in that price range had a lot of funds on Ethereum. The next raise is going to be on Polygon. So these next few NFTs will be sold on Polygon for USDC, but they do earn rewards in wrapped Bitcoin. So wrapped Bitcoin, if you don't know what it is, it's basically a fully backed and collateralized wrapped version of Bitcoin to be on ERC20 chains, so EVM compatible and ERC20 chains. So it's basically Bitcoin, but allowed to be on the Ethereum Polygon network, so that you can unwrap it as well. You can go to many different sites and maybe we'll have this in the future too. If you have a Ledger, a Tangent wallet, something that's a hardware wallet to store Bitcoin, actual Bitcoin on a Bitcoin address, we'll in the future have a method to do that internally. But right now, there's plenty of platforms that allow you to unwrap your wrapped Bitcoin and send it to your actual Bitcoin wallet. So it just depends on what you want to do, but it comes in the form of Bitcoin, because my personal strategy is not to sell any Bitcoin until it hits at least 100K.
Yes, mine too.
Yeah.
Mine too. So awesome. Wrapped Bitcoin on Polygon. And yeah, that's great. Payouts for the rewards should start next month in October from the first batch of miners that are down in Paraguay, already good to go. And then these the next raise right now with the phase this phase of the NFTs will be
phase 1, actually right above it. Let me make sure. Yeah, right there. That's the phase 1 of this newest expansion. So AMC, not reserve. So right there, we expect to purchase after we raise about 750 grand. So 250 times 3,000 NFTs. We expect to purchase about 300 What's Miner M50Ss.
Awesome. And do you guys know how much, like, once these are online, just with this phase 1, what like how much profit you guys as a whole would be making with the first batch plus this batch? Do you guys have an idea?
For the company or overall?
For the overall that gets, split up between the hash rate distribution.
Well, what we can calculate is what the total hash rate will be. And that's really the way that even legally we want to discuss this is not about the dollars, because the dollars depend on when you sell that Bitcoin. What we're offering here is a fractional access into hash rate. You basically get access to fractionalize our equipment, and in return, that equipment does produce wrapped Bitcoin that you can earn and own. But that's not dollars. That you're earning tokens. What we can say though is that after this next round, the total shared hash rate is going to be just below 65,000 terahashes. And you can also calculate what the rough power draw will be. I don't have it in front of me. That's something else that we do want to update the white paper with as well, because if you went to a Bitcoin mining calculator, you could plug in that terahash rate. You can plug in the total power draw and the power cost, and you can see exactly how much Bitcoin, even the spot pricing of USD, what it would be producing per day. So we don't really like to talk about that because we want to give people the opportunity to do it themselves. But every single raise increases the amount of Bitcoin produced.
Absolutely. And I recommend everybody go use one of those Bitcoin mining calculators, put in the hash rates, the electric rate that you guys are getting, and the price of Bitcoin that you are planning on personally selling at. And it's a lot of fun to play around with those numbers. Things get super crazy when you start doing that and you start seeing the real potential of Bitcoin mining. So I love these types of projects. I love Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin mining, and I want as much exposure to Bitcoin as I can, and Bitcoin mining, because you can get it at a much better price over time if you do it right. And I think this might be a viable option for doing that. Not financial advice. It's just what I like and the kind of stuff I'm interested in. And if you're interested in that too, where can people find you guys, Tyler?
Well, the best thing I would say, all of our links are whatever/alphashares. So if you want to go to twitter.com/alphashares, x.com/alphashares, discord.gg/alphashares, any of those links you can find us. But what we highly suggest, if you want more information, if you're serious about this, pop into our Discord. At the end of today's AMA, Alex, I'm going to give you a custom form, a Google form that's just for you and your community to provide to anybody that wants to be whitelisted for the first round. If you can't get involved with the first round and you're looking forward to the second, third, fourth, those are going to be public. You could just mint them whenever they come available. But if you want to find out more information, if you want to join us for our AMAs, we have Monday AMAs at 6 p.m. Eastern every single Monday. We break down the exact status, where we're at with the mining operation. We showcase new photos, videos, a snapshot basically of where we're at. We answer every single question. So if you're somebody that has more questions than answers once you watch this, I hope not. But if you do, come join us in our Discord, pop in there, ask us any questions you might have. We're always online. So if there's one spot to find more information, definitely going to be Discord.
Awesome. And I will put the links to all of that, the Discord server, the website, and Twitter, as well as the Google Doc form for the whitelist. And I will also post that in my Discord server as well. Links to my Discord server are always in the description, discord.gg/YaBonks. There is an Alpha Shares channel in my Discord as well. I get your announcements there, and Tyler and Randy and a lot of your community members are already in the YaBonks community as well. You guys, I think everybody knows you guys really well over there. So you guys can find all that stuff. Links in the description, in my Discord server, and everything. That's all I got right now about this latest phase of development for Alpha Shares. If you guys missed the previous AMA, go watch that too. It covers literally everything you could ever imagine. And then with this new information on top of it, you should have a really great idea of what these guys are up to and what you can expect. So, Tyler, anything else you want to tell the audience today?
No, I think that we covered most things. I think we really covered it all. It's the first time I got to really discuss in detail the expansion plan. I'm really excited about that and what it has to offer. We already had such a great offering with how it was originally, but to showcase what our future vision is, to make sure that people are secure that we're here for a long time, not a short time, not just a fun time. We're here for a fun time for a long time, and we're going to be producing some awesome Bitcoin rewards. So all I have to say is if anybody within the YaBonks community is interested in hearing more, ask any questions, joining us on our first tier 1 whitelist only mint, well, make sure you fill out the form that Alex is going to be given to the community. If you, by chance, can't access the form, something's going on, pop into our Discord, say you came from YaBonks. We'll make sure that we take care of you and you can get involved. But that's all I have to say, besides a big thank you, Alex, for having me up on the stage again with you today. You and I have some awesome, fun conversations on and offline.
Sure do.
We'll have to continue the ones we were having before the AMA, but a fun time regardless. Always a pleasure being up here on with you. And thank you for putting me in front of your community as well. We're always looking to find better and better community members. I mean, our community is fantastic, but we're always looking to expand and get that reach out there further. So you definitely help us with that. Big thank you.
Thank you for the kind words, and thanks for all the time you spent setting this up with me and sharing all of the inside baseball about all the new stuff that you guys are doing. I am honored to bring this to my community and give them that opportunity as well. So YaBonks community, if you are looking to get in on the whitelist, so you can get these for $250 instead of $400, the Google Doc, or just ping Tyler or any of the team members over in the Alpha Shares Discord. And I appreciate you making that available to me and my people.
Of course.
Yeah, and then we'll catch up later. I know we got to talk about working out and all that, and all the other fun stuff that we're into. So, Tyler, thanks again, man. I really appreciate all your time. And audience, thank you so much. If you made it this far, that's awesome. Please make sure to like the video. Let's get this out to as many people as possible. If you have any questions, leave a comment or send me a message on Discord or Telegram or Twitter. And thank you, audience, for all of your time. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Smash the notification bell and all that good stuff. And yeah, thanks, Tyler, and thank you everybody for watching. I will see you all on the next one.
Perfect. Thank you, Alex. And yeah, we'll see you all next time. Hope to see you in our community. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you.